Imagine a time when law and order were concepts as fluid as a mountain stream. Welcome to the Wild West era, a period of American history that still stirs the imagination with tales of cowboys, gunslingers, and gold rushes. In this wild and untamed land, the promise of a golden future was as intoxicating as the local saloon's whiskey. Now, let's zero in on Deadwood, South Dakota. It sprang to life in the year 1874, sparked by the Black Hills Gold Rush. Deadwood was a town where lawlessness was the norm, where the pursuit of wealth was everyone's game, and where people of all walks of life mingled, from hardened prospectors to hopeful immigrants. This was an era of adventure and chaos, where fortune favored the bold and survival was the ultimate prize. In this chaos and promise of gold, Deadwood, South Dakota was born, a city emblematic of the Wild West. As we walk through the streets of Deadwood, we ask that you take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel and help us continue searching for the history of the Wild West. Life in Deadwood was far from easy, yet it was a beacon for those seeking fortune and freedom. Imagine a world where every sunrise brought with it the uncertainty of survival, yet the promise of unprecedented opportunities. That was the reality of Deadwood in the Wild West era. The city was a magnet for those daring enough to brave the lawless frontier in search of gold, adventure, and a new life. Despite the shimmering allure of gold, life in Deadwood was anything but gilded. Settlers faced a daily battle against the elements. Winters were brutally cold, summers scorching hot, and the threat of disease was an ever-present specter. The city was a melting pot of miners, gunslingers, gamblers, and dreamers, all coexisting in an environment where disputes were often settled with the draw of a gun. The rule of law was a distant concept, making survival a game of wit and resilience. But amidst the chaos, a sense of community emerged. Neighbors depended on one another, forging bonds that were as strong as the steel tracks that would eventually connect Deadwood to the rest of the world. They rallied together, building schools, churches, and businesses, shaping a burgeoning city from the unforgiving landscape. Deadwood was a city of contrasts. It was a place where fortunes could be made and lost in the blink of an eye. For every tale of a miner striking it rich, there were countless stories of broken dreams. But for those who persevered, who weathered the storms and stood tall in the face of adversity, the city offered a chance at a life they could never have imagined. The inhabitants of Deadwood were a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt and thrive in the harshest of conditions. They were the embodiment of resilience, shaping a city that, despite its lawlessness, held a magnetic charm for those willing to risk it all. Despite the perils, Deadwood thrived, its inhabitants etching out a life amidst the lawlessness. The echoes of Deadwood's past still reverberate today, shaping our modern world in surprising ways. The Wild West, a place and time synonymous with adventure and chaos, self-reliance, and the pursuit of wealth, has left an indelible mark on the fabric of American society. The legacy of Deadwood and the broader Wild West is more than just a chapter in a history book. It's a living, breathing narrative that continues to shape our collective identity. The ethos of individualism, for instance, that was so deeply ingrained in the pioneers of Deadwood, still pulses through the veins of America. Picture the dust-choked streets of Deadwood, where the scent of whiskey hung thick in the air, and the ambient murmur of life's gamblers resonated through every weathered building. In the heart of this chaotic ballet, where fortunes were won and lost with the capriciousness of a prairie wind, the resilient spirit of the streets emerged. Cowboys, gamblers, and prospectors, each bearing the weight of their own aspirations, converged in a chaotic dance. They were bound not just by the pursuit of wealth, but by an unspoken understanding. Life in Deadwood required more than luck. It demanded self-control and fortitude. The dusty thoroughfares were like a crucible, testing the mettle of those who dared to step into the swirling vortex of chance. As a shadowy philosopher once mused, "In the dance with destiny, it is not the strength of the wind that matters, but the set of the sail." The resilient spirit of the streets of Deadwood was not defined by the caprices of fate, but by the deliberate choices of those who navigated the tumult with an unwavering resolve. In the flickering candlelight of Deadwood's notorious saloons, desires and desperation commingled in a haze of tobacco smoke and the scent of spilled spirits. It was here, in these dimly lit sanctuaries, that the human psyche laid bare its vulnerabilities and ambitions. The saloons were more than watering holes. They were crucibles of character, where the thirst for self-control and fortitude was as palpable as the acrid aroma of whiskey. Legends of the Wild West, from Wild Bill Hickok to Calamity Jane, wandered through these establishments, not merely in search of libations, but as seekers in the grand theater of life. It was a place where one could easily lose oneself to the vices that lurked in the shadows. Yet amidst the chaos, the truly formidable souls were those who chose to confront their own destructive emotions. In the gloom of the saloons where cards were dealt and fate was wagered, the shadows cast by the lantern light bore witness to a profound struggle. As the ghostly wisps of cigar smoke lingered in the air, the challenge wasn't merely in winning at the tables, but in conquering the internal tempest that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the soul. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desolate streets, Deadwood took on a different persona. It was in the dead of night that the true dance with shadows unfolded. The flickering lanterns illuminated not just the wooden facades of buildings, but the clandestine struggles of those grappling with their own demons. In the depths of darkness, the call to self-control echoed through the alleys like a distant hymn. A cowboy philosopher once reflected, "The real man smiles in trouble, gathers strength from distress, and grows brave by reflection." In the shadows of Deadwood, the courage to confront one's destructive emotions became a defining trait of the resilient souls who sought not just fortune but a measure of inner triumph. This was a town where the veil between the seen and the unseen was thin, where the whispers of self-control and fortitude resonated through the blackened windows and creaking floorboards. It was a place where the dance with shadows was not just a nightly affair, but a lifelong commitment to overcoming the internal storms that raged in the hearts of those who sought their destinies beneath the prairie stars. As the Black Hills loomed in the distance, their contours shrouded in mystery, the allure of gold drew fortune seekers like moths to flame. The prospectors, their faces etched with hope and desperation, carved through the unforgiving terrain in a relentless pursuit of elusive wealth. In the quest for gold, they weren't just miners, they were alchemists of their own fate, seeking not just external riches but an internal alchemy that transformed adversity into triumph. The Black Hills were a crucible that tested not just the physical endurance of those who ventured into its depths but the tenacity of the human spirit. The cowboy's wisdom echoed in the whispering pines. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. In the heart of this enigmatic bounty, where veins of precious metal lay hidden like secrets waiting to be unearthed, the pursuit of self-control and fortitude became an unspoken code. The bounty of the Black Hills wasn't merely gold, it was the opportunity for those who dared to forge themselves anew amidst the crucible of adversity. As we stand at the crossroads of history and memory, Deadwood emerges not merely as a relic of the past, but as a parable etched in the cliffs of time. It whispers to us not of lawlessness and chaos, but of the indomitable human spirit that defied the odds, sought self-mastery, and embraced the relentless pursuit of fortitude. The legacy of Deadwood is not confined to the yellowed pages of history books. It reverberates through the corridors of our own lives. It beckons us to confront our destructive emotions, to navigate the dusty streets of our existence with self-control, and to dance with the shadows that linger in the corners of our souls. In the enigmatic history of Deadwood, where fortunes were gambled and shadows danced, the echoes of self-control and fortitude linger like whispers on the prairie wind. The Black Hills may guard their secrets, but the undying legacy of Deadwood is an open book, inviting us to learn from the resilience of those who once walked its dusty streets.